Ever wondered why you're working out just as much or even more than your parents did, yet still struggle to lose weight? If I told you that despite exercising more and having larger bodies, adults today are burning fewer calories than in previous generations, would you believe me? Stay tuned if you're ready to have your mind blown by the perplexing world of metabolism. Without further ado, my name is Jerry Colon, and this is the Dark Side of Fitness episode 76. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome to my channel. We focus on transforming your body from the inside out. Suppose you're ready to take your fitness journey to that next level. Like this video and subscribe to my channel for more whole body transformation content. It's a paradox of modern life. Pound for pound, adults in the US and Europe burn fewer calories a day than our counterparts in previous generations. Most of us would say the reason is apparent. We move less, except maybe we don't. Physical activity has increased over the past few decades, even as our average body mass expanded and we spent more time in sedentary activities. That's just one finding from an intriguing new study, and it's not even the most surprising one. How the study worked. The study's authors tapped into a database of adults whose energy expenditure has been quantified with doubly labeled water. Within that database, the researchers retrieved three related sets of numbers. Total energy expenditure, TEE. This is the total number of calories you burn each day. Basal energy expenditure, BEE. These are the calories it takes to run your body's back burner functions, the things that keep you alive. It's also referred to as basal metabolic rate or BMR. Activity energy expenditure, AEE. This is the caloric cost of movement, which includes intentional exercise, involuntary fidgeting, and everything in between. Most of the data were collected between 1990 and 2017, with the earliest studies dating back to the early 1980s when doubly labeled water was first used with humans. They then adjusted the data to account for body mass and age. The adjustments were necessary because people today are much larger on average than they were 30 years ago. A larger body will burn more calories, especially during physical activity. Age matters because metabolism declines in late middle age and beyond. What the study found: below are the changes in adjusted energy expenditure over the past 30 years. For males, total energy expenditure, negative 222 calories per day. Basal energy expenditure, negative 229 calories per day. Active energy expenditure, positive 241 calories per day. For females, total energy expenditure, negative 122 calories per day. Basal energy expenditure, negative 29 calories per day. Active energy expenditure, positive 100 calories per day. These are some big numbers for the male participants. The basal metabolic rate for the average male in the 2010s was 14.7 lower than for a counterpart in the 1980s and 90s. But that 21st century male burned a lot more calories through physical activity. Consequently, total energy expenditure has dropped only 7.7% over the past few decades. For females, the 5.6% decline in total energy expenditure is a bit less dramatic, and a 2% decline in basal energy expenditure didn't reach statistical significance. So what explains the drop in total energy expenditure? The authors offer two potential explanations. Number one, a long-term drop in core temperature. The idea that 37 degrees Celsius, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit is normal human body temperature was first established in the 1850s, but that's no longer accurate. Today's average temperature is 36.6 degrees Celsius, 97.9 degrees Fahrenheit, a decline of 0.0 degrees Celsius per decade since the mid-19th century. Studies have found that increasing core temperature to 1 degree Celsius, 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, increases basal metabolic rate by 10 to 25%. Extrapolating from that, you expect that even a tiny drop in body temperature, 0.4 degrees Celsius, 0.7 degrees Fahrenheit, would lead to a small but significant decline in basal energy expenditure. So why would our core temperature be lower? One hypothesis: fewer pathogens. Less exposure to pathogens means fewer infections and less immune system activity. less immune activity leads to a slightly lower core temperature and somewhat slower resting metabolic rate. Does it work that way? We can't say for sure, but we do know that more infections lead to a higher metabolic rate. The evidence comes from research on the Tisme, an indigenous population in the Amazon rainforest of Bolivia. About 2/3 of Tisman adults are battling parasitic infections at any given time. Consequently, they have around 10 times as many pathogen-fighting white blood cells as people in industrialized societies, and their basal metabolism burns 250 to 350 more calories per day. Number 2, changes in the fat composition of our diets. This is part of the study that caught us by surprise, and it takes a bit of a setup to explain. Throughout the 20th century, consumption of fat in the US barely budged. Adults in the US ate an average of 17.9 kilograms, 39 pounds of fat per year in 1909, and in 1999 it was 18.2 kilograms, 40 pounds, in an increase of just 1.7%. But there were considerable changes to the types of fat we ate. Consumption of oils increased by 2,051% to 14.7 kilograms, 32 pounds per adult per year. Almost all that increase, 83%, was from soybean oil. At the same time, animal fats declined from about 90% of all fat consumption to less than 15%. Could those changes in fat composition have an effect on basal energy expenditure? The researchers set up an experiment with mice to see. They fed the mice diets with different types of fats for 4 weeks, the equivalent of 3.5 years for a human. The diets higher in saturated fat led to a higher metabolic rate. The researchers cautioned that you can't read too much into this, especially when the experimental animals were males of a single inbreed mouse strain. It's like making a dozen clones of your neighbor Steve and feeding each clone a different diet. The results tell you a lot about Steve, but won't necessarily predict how his wife Amanda might react to those identical diets. Fascinated by how our metabolism has evolved? Well, there's more to uncover. Dive deeper into the world of metabolism with our video, Ignite Your Metabolism, the key to diabetes control. This could be the key to understanding and conquering your personal fitness journey. Make sure to check it out. Here are our expert coaching takeaways for this study. Number 1, your movements are worth monitoring. Most of us are probably surprised by the finding we mentioned at the top of this review. People on average get more physical activity now than they did decades ago. The on average part is key. Each person will be different. Some may diligently accumulate 10,000 steps a day. Some may drive to their mailbox. Whatever it is, it's essential to know, especially for weight loss. If you don't already, consider wearing an activity monitor for a week. The goal is to establish a baseline of what you do now and then see where there's room for improvement. The benefits of just a little more movement, like getting outside for a short daily walk, should quickly become apparent to a sedentary person. Number 2, this study may inspire some terrible takes. You know somebody out there is going to use this study to justify eating more meat or butter or bacon or whatever. Yes, a higher ratio of saturated fats might help to increase a person's metabolic rate, but so would an intestinal parasite. And as far as I know, no one's recommending that. Although honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if someone did. Number 3, saturated fats are complicated. Let's say you order a steak in a restaurant, or enjoy a few squares of dark chocolate, or have a post-workout bowl of cottage cheese. Each of those foods contains saturated fat, but each look different, taste different, and serves a different purpose in your diet. Even the mix of saturated fatty acids within each food is different. So while you can find any number of studies on the health effects of saturated fats, it's helpful to remember that nobody sits down to a meal of fatty acids. It's all about context. If this video has you rethinking everything you knew about fitness, explore the dangerous cycle of stress eating in, are you stress eating yourself into obesity? And for a fun little twist, discover how ice cream could potentially boost your health in. Can ice cream really improve your health? Thank you, and until next time, see you on the next video.